rolling on the audio. We're in,
Don't
baby.
do that. Don't do that.
Push yours back. Good girl.
There we
Good
go.
girl. The old table's
There we
holding
go.
up. She's holding up. She's holding up good, eh?
Well, welcome to the Raised Hunting Podcast. We are back. I'm joined today by Warren and Easton. It's right after the weekend. Before they do all their shout outs to everyone, I want to give a big shout out to all the West Virginia folks that welcomed Karen and I there this weekend. It was a ton of fun with the West Virginia Bowhunters Association and all the other entities that were involved. It was a really good turnout and a lot of fun, and we enjoyed ourselves, made a lot of new friends, and maybe we got some new listeners now because we mentioned the podcast, and several of them were like, we're going to go check that out. So with that being said, before I introduce today's topic, I'll let these guys go through and shout out what we need to do on their end.
I think I kind of miss being called a special guest now.
Has he not been calling us that?
No,
2 weeks in a row.
Whined like a little baby.
I'm in on it. I ain't special. I'm freaking rare. I don't know.
Rare, like as in
I was thinking
medium
a different
rare.
R word, but it would be offensive to those that are.
Okay.
That was cold. Shane Gillis approved.
Are you going to go? Or
Yeah.
I have no idea what he just said.
Yeah, it's because you don't know who Shane Gillis is
I don't
or
know.
anything that is up to date.
Oh, I know what I need to know.
BBs and bullets. Love the show, learning a lot. Been rifle hunting for years, but this is my first year bow hunting. Found your podcast, trying to get some tips and tricks. And I've learned more listening to y'all than I have in my last 10 years of hunting. Keep it up. I think that might be the rare case of even a little more than we deserve, but we appreciate it, BBs and bullets. And if you have any specific questions, write in. We'd love to be able to try and answer those and give you our input. Raised Hunting Review by 27-3 Productions. All right, I'm going to have to read quick here. 27-3 Productions is a group of 3 guys, all from Iowa, love the outdoors, want to share our experience in order to entertain, educate others in the industry. Raised Hunting has been a huge motivation influence for starting up our small company. 2 members of our group were able to make it to the Iowa Deer Classic this year, and although RH did not have a booth, we recognized Warren right away. We are very grateful for RH and for people that think they are big-time hunters and are selfish. You are wrong. Warren took 20 minutes out of his day at the Classic and helped us out with some new food plots and talking about his buck, Baby Giant, and Magnum. We had another question we forgot to ask when we saw him. No worries. We messaged him on Instagram and got a detailed response less than 24 hours later. You're getting a response from Raised Hunting, not a hired employee. And sometimes it's Nick, but Nick is through us. And then especially if it's on my personal one, it's definitely not Nick. If everything's spelled right, it's 100% us.
yeah.
Thank you, RH family, for what you do for the hunting community. Keep up with the podcast. Podcast idea and something we have talked about as a team is hunting windows for scrapes. Do or do not freshen up scrapes and what to use. Would you prefer hunting scrapes for a specific buck or late season or water over food? Opinion on putting in water tubs and how to do it properly. Those we will definitely put in the bank because we've been having lots of questions.
To deer season.
Yes,
Those are the kind of guys that I absolutely love doing what we do.
Oh, they were awesome dudes too. So shout out to you guys. It was I loved being able to talk to people like that, you know, and
they appreciate it. They genuinely have like questions to ask, or they just want to talk to you and stuff. And then the fact that they're willing to go write something like that.
Yeah, no. Well, and we're not special.
Yeah, they treat us normal.
Yeah, we're
like it.
just like them, you know.
Which, by the way, those guys did just they messaged us on Instagram that we have. If you hear this before I answer your Instagram message, just know that I've read it, working on it.
Well, because a lot of times, too, we will take our time answering comments or messages because we do want to be able to give you guys an actual, a legit answer. So if it takes us a day or two, we will always answer your messages or comments. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but that's because we're trying to actually give you a response that is other than just
there's only 3 of us.
Thanks.
I mean,
yeah.
There's three or four of us that we're running through.
Well, and
I would love to stay overwhelmed with messages because you guys keep sending stuff. So keep going and make our job harder. But that's part of it too, is we're trying to answer everybody.
Well, and if it's a week that we made people mad, then it takes us a while to sort through all.
Yeah, and that tends to happen.
So, shout out to all of our YouTube people. Amy Harrison, 8072. She said that was my hubby.
Yeah, I was gonna say that one. I was so happy about that.
You got a cool wife, dude. She's went on and. Well, I'm guessing she probably doesn't listen all the time. But
She's talking about David Harrison. We read his.
Oh yeah, you read his
Bear.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
and that's the one that we were saying that his wife. You got a good one, keep her.
Right.
And now she comments on the podcast. That's cool.
Capt Hollis, appreciate you. Raised Right, always on here, appreciate you. Hunter Huntster 1045. He said he loves it when David gets fired up. David Harrison says he's kind of partial to this episode. I wonder why. Jeremy Rubsick, always on here, always supporting. Shout out to you, buddy. User RU1HF3ET7R. Appreciate
that has
you.
to mean something.
Capt Hollis. I'm going to guess that was just YouTube generated, and he just
you
went with
think?
it. Yeah, I'll bet you. And then Bucky Doe Downer, 9040. He's always on here, and we appreciate it. And then, of course, Jake DeLee. And I held his for last because he had a little bit of more insight on when we were talking about the recovery stuff. He said, Warren, I'd love to have the same hope in the world as you do with your comment regarding most people calling for dogs, meaning for tracking. Unfortunately, I don't think there are nearly as many hunters that are ethical, willing to call for a dog, or even willing to track a deer that didn't drop within 100 yards. I've seen people walk out 2 days before season, shoot one arrow, and call themselves ready for bow season. Maybe it's just me, but as much as the way we do it or the way you do it should be the standard, I'd have a hard time believing it is. And as he mentioned, I try to be pretty optimistic about all things. And so I would like to think that most people are calling people for dogs and doing everything that they can to recover animals. But I definitely have to agree. There's a decent number that definitely don't.
I think there's a growing number, though. I think it's becoming more of a understanding. Like in West Virginia, they legalized, and that's the other thing, is it wasn't legal for everywhere for people to do it. But now that it's legal in many more states, and many more states are causing more states to legalize it, I think you're seeing I think you're hearing more about it.
Yeah.
And so that it's gaining some ground. The dogs are phenomenal. I mean, they absolutely
A well-trained dog.
a well-trained dog. I
Yeah.
mean, they can change the game
100%.
for sure.
All
right.
I've
Easton's
we're
you're
gonna
gonna
do two of them.
Oh, okay.
Two short ones. We've got stories today. Warren, don't take that thing off the wall because it just took me like 15 minutes to get the freaking thing to go on the hook. But if you want to point, Quentin, you know Quentin.
Yep.
Spack right there. We're going to do him. And then Lowell Sparrow. It's Lowell or Lowell?
I bet it's Lowell.
Lowell. Sparrow right above him, right above Quentin.
With the big buck?
Yeah, big deer.
That's a sweet
He
deer.
actually sent in, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, he's got another one up there because he sent me two.
With the extra beam?
I want to say that is him.
That deer is sick, though. With those kickers.
That is a cool deer. I think that's actually why I picked that one because I like that deer more than his other one. Anyways, so I'll read Quentin's first. From Quentin Spack. He's one of our boys, one of our local boys here. Been watching y'all since the first days on the Outdoor Channel when we were just some young pups. We're still young pups, man, I promise. You guys were one of my favorites then, and now you're still at the top of the list. Between the podcast, YouTube, Sense, and the brand in general, I'll always support you guys. Ran the Sense this year and will for sure be running them more next year.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Quentin, you the man. He's always the man. He's always sending me stuff. And Lowell, here we go. I feel bad if it's not Lowell because I've got to keep saying it.
Hopefully he'll correct us.
He probably will. I'm bad at names.
I bet that is Lowell.
I thought it was Lowell too.
I bet it's Lowell.
So we're split.
Why don't you go Mr. Sparrow?
Mr.
You know that's
Sparrow. That is really freaking cool, actually.
Yeah. Now you got to do the Jack Sparrow run.
Oh, my gosh. No, you're cooler than Jack Sparrow. Okay. Hello, my name is Mr. Sparrow.
Hopefully his wife isn't like Mr. Sparrow's was.
I didn't never watch that movie.
Amber Heard.
Oh,
that whole thing.
Okay, I did see that.
I have no clue what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, you
Go
do.
on.
Remember the trial that
No, go. Just go.
basically she was the crazy of crazies.
Hello, my name is Mr. Sparrow. I am sending this through as I think you all might find this interesting. I've heard of hunters using rub post before, but your podcast or podcasts discussing the subject is what finally made me pull the trigger. I installed 4 on 3 different farms, 3 of which ended up getting ripped out of the ground in under a month. The 4th remained standing and was used to survey over 20 different bucks using a brassica plot during the course of the year. I ended up killing 2 bucks off that plot that were patterned to both the food and the rub. One of which was smelling the post when I shot it in late December. No sense used, interestingly enough, but I plan in the future after this year's success. Thanks for the great info you guys have put out, and thanks for amazing representatives of the hunting community.
Awesome.
That is
You're the
awesome.
man.
Late
You know,
December too. Or in December.
That's my man.
Well, we were talking about that.
They keep working.
hitting them.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
they
would
do.
just share over in West Virginia. I did a seminar about this whole thing and was showing some of these guys the video that we have of these bucks are still no antlers left on their head and the stub is sticking out of the ground and their bucks are still rubbing the tree. I mean, it's crazy to see how, once they get connected to that tree, that's like a magnet.
I think we should do a October Madness, and we should put all of our rub posts into a bracket, and then whichever ones get ripped out or broke first get eliminated.
I'm getting better trees. I'm not letting that happen next year.
I think we say that every year, and they still find a way to either wallow them out or
Oh, they
break 'em.
will, unless you concrete them,
Well,
like
'cause that,
David says, which I will not be concreting any of mine in.
I will.
Okay.
All right. Well, then I think we're ready to move on here and introduce the topic today. I think the topic today is going to be pretty cool. I think it's pretty easy, but at least for me, when Warren, I can't remember which one of you came up with it. I think you did.
I did.
Yeah. And when he said it, I was like, oh, that's really good. And so anyhow, the topic today is going to be, we're going to talk a little bit about why we hunt. What's the draw? What is it that makes us do crazy things? I mean, you get up early in the morning when you don't want to get up. You get up when the weather is crappy and nasty, whether that be super cold, raining, whether it be super hot. But you keep going back. And success ratio is, for the amount of time spent and how long it takes, I'm not going to go into anymore. I'll save it for the podcast. So the question is, why do you do it? What is the allure of hunting?
Or who we
Don't look at me
with?
first. You started talking first, baby.
Okay. Well, for me, there's obviously a lot of reasons. Number one, the first one that comes to my mind, it's 2, I guess, is one is adventure. Especially when you go on like Western hunts, the stories you don't ever talk about. You never ever go to a dinner with people or go to dinner parties or whatever and really talk about work, or you don't ever talk about the hunts that went super smooth. You talked about the time that you had to cuddle with 3 dudes because you were an idiot and went 6 miles when there was a chance of snow, and then you almost had to call the chopper. Like those are which I'm sure Alyssa doesn't want me getting more of those stories, but like the ones where was possible death involved are definitely the most interesting.
Oh yeah.
So,
You gotta have a thrill in life.
Yeah. Which fortunately that is the only one, but it's still one of my favorite stories. So I'm like, man, I might need to go almost die again.
Yeah, there you go.
And then so the adventure would be part of it, and then the other thing is that it is truly unique. Every single instance, 99% of the time, is always going to be unique. It's never the same. It doesn't matter what, and I don't know that there's anything else that can really offer you that. And I realized, when I realized that, because I'm about to make a hot take that is probably going to upset some people, but it's not nothing against anybody or anything. It's just my personal opinion. I felt after, so I went mountain lion hunting with a buddy of mine in high school, like my freshman year and sophomore year when we lived in
Whitefish.
Montana still, yeah, whitefish, and there was a lot of lions around. And after the first one, I personally thought it was the most boring thing ever. I'll never care about shooting a lion with dogs ever again.
Well, that's the way because even the way Mom and Dad went and hunted down in New Mexico was different than what you guys hunted.
Yeah, that would be more interesting. But all we did, we drove
dogs.
around. We just drove around in the mountains until when there was we wait till there was a fresh snow, and then we drive around until you cut a fresh set of tracks. And then those guys were good enough to be able to tell how fresh it was that as soon as they let those dogs off, I mean, it was most of them, it was like within under an hour they had them treed. And that was what I realized that I didn't enjoy about it, is that it was a guarantee. We knew for a fact that there was a cat in that tree when we got there, where I was like, I think that's what keeps it so exciting to me when you go sit in a stand or you go elk hunting or whatever it is, that you don't know if they're there,
right?
Which is funny because you always want them to be there so bad.
Yeah.
But the only thing that makes that exciting is the fact that you go there so many times and they're not there. So then the one time that they are, that's what actually fuels the excitement. I mean, there's tons and tons of things, but the other thing about it, what I realize is when it comes down to the shot, that's actually one of probably the smallest portions of it. I mean, yes, there's an adrenaline rush there and it's super exciting, but it's everything else that I really, really enjoy. The thing I love about going on Western hunts, especially when there's no cell service, which I have to figure out how I can do that now with the marketing company as well, so that I can do that more, is that it's so simple. You have one thing that you're trying to do. You get up every day and you're just going and trying to find it out, and you're trying to kill that elk, or you're trying to find a mule deer and kill a mule deer. And there's nothing else. And so all this stuff that goes on in our lives every day that seems like it's such huge things, such important things, such giant things, you realize it really doesn't matter that much. Like that all your stuff, all your problems are really, really small. And when you have something that's that simple, so I say that it's simple. It's not simple to kill an elk almost ever. But at the same time, the overarching task of it is extremely simple.
Yeah. I think
the concept you're saying is simple.
All you're doing, yes, is okay. I'm got to go try to find an elk, and there wasn't one here, so I'm going to the next ridge. Okay, I didn't find one there. Now what do? I got to go try to a different place, or I got to sit over water, or I got to go do this. But the end goal is the same thing. I mean, it's very kind of steps. Step one is I got to find an elk.
Yeah.
Once I find an elk, now I'm getting more strategic, trying to get the wind right and do all that other stuff.
That's interesting for me to listen to that from you, because mainly because if for whatever reason you made a comment in there that sent me right back, and it ain't a hunting trip that we were on. We went fly fishing in Wyoming last year. And that was one of your number one things, was like, we're getting to go out here and do this, and it was fishing. That is not any of our expertises, but it was something we wanted to do, and there was nothing else. Yeah, we had service. Yeah, we had like our family reaching out to us and stuff, but checking in or whatever. But it was flat out, let's go get in a boat. Try not to die when Warren's driving the boat. Or
we hit one bridge.
I thought he was going to say one tree, but there was also a bridge too, and a couple trees. But there's only one thing, and it's focus on the task at hand. I think that's refreshing, and I think a lot of people don't get that in life, because I think that's why a lot of people, like the gym is a big fad for people right now, or different activities like that, because people are doing enough things that they are like, okay, I need to find something that I can kind of go shut my brain off with.
Yeah.
And that's what our hunting is for us.
Well, for me personally, it's evolved a lot. And what I mean by that is, like, when I was a kid, and I don't know if it was I wanted to be, if it was like I wanted to be like dad type thing, or if I thought it was.
Did you guys all hear that?
Yeah. No, I will turn this on for you. Here you go.
Did you guys all hear that?
Nick, what time is the timer on so Dad can cut this and set it as his ringtone on his phone? Got it.
There you go.
Well, because I'll just be 100%, like it used to when I was a kid, and even till probably like I guess, honestly, even it's probably changed the most in the last 3 to 4 years. Killing an animal really mattered to me. Like if we went when we would go to Wyoming, if I didn't kill an antelope,
I was killing you.
I was going to be crushed. Like it was a bad deal. And like I said, I don't know if that was wanted to be like dad type thing, if I wanted to prove something to myself or just at that time, that's what I understood that hunting was, is the whole goal is that you're going to go and you're trying to kill an animal, right? So that really, really mattered to me. And then I think that after doing a couple of those, it wasn't as important. Then killing a few big deer, fortunate enough to do that. Then now that isn't as important either. Then killing a big bull, that was the last one where I was like, I really, really got to make sure that this happens, that I make this happen. And now after killing a big bull, I just want the experience again. I don't necessarily have to kill a big bull. I just want to go experience elk, have bulls bugling, and I'd love to get into big bulls and love to shoot big bulls. But the more important thing to me is just that I want to go and chase elk, and I want to go and chase deer, and I want to enjoy doing it. I want to enjoy the people that I'm around doing it, and I want to have it's more about everything else, where it used to be all about that.
I think that's just there's been many articles written and even studies done that talk about the progression of a hunter. And we've even built an episode about it. And you're just in that progression. You're probably right on target about how many years that someone spends in one area. Because the way, and I can't remember everything.
We did 4 stages, didn't we?
There's several stages. But like the beginning is quantity. You want to kill as many as you can. You want to kill a deer, kill another deer, kill this deer, everything that you could possibly.
You're welcome.
Well, what was it?
It was ringing.
Oh, and so then the next one is you want to kill the biggest. And then you get past the biggest, and then all of a sudden. And I think that's where it's come for me is I'm well down that progression stage where I'm at the point where if I didn't kill another animal, it'd be okay. If I'm there and helping others kill something, then that's where I really, and they talk about getting to where you want to give back. And I think, and I talked about it this week in West Virginia, and that's so important. Because if you don't give, if Mom and I had not introduced you guys into hunting, I would have been like the most selfish person walking the face of the earth. Knowing what I know, what it feels like, what it's like, what it can do for someone's life, and not sharing that with other people would have been just flat wrong. And I would say that to someone, and you don't see it as much with kids. Meaning most dads are willing to take their kids. But there's a lot of men out there that aren't willing to take their wives or their girlfriends. They don't think that they belong. And they believe that this is my place. This is where I can go and enjoy what I do, and she can go do something else. And I totally disagree. I think involving your...
Well, I would say there's a time for both. I personally think that it's okay somewhat if that's something where I'm not saying that you shouldn't ever take your wife. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that I believe that there should be some times where you can go on a trip with your friends and be able to go do something that you enjoy. I don't believe that you should have to be obligated to 100% of the time take somebody, because it's still a personal thing to an extent.
I don't think that's what Dad's just referring to. A lot of
saying the whole concept of it, that they're just not going to.
There's a lot of folks
introduce them at all
that are hunters and stuff that are very like. Women don't belong in hunting.
Right.
And I know that's stereotypical, and I'm not calling that. That's not popular anymore, I don't think. It's still around, but I think that's what you're getting at is
Absolutely.
the guys that are like, no, my wife can stay at home. I'm going to go do my hunting and stuff. And like you said, that's fine sometimes, especially if they're the type that's like, I'm going to go hunt too somewhere else.
Yeah.
You got that.
Yeah.
But in Dad's situation, I want to go, like, we're going to go hunt together because that's what I want to do, and I want to involve them.
Do you think
that's me speaking for you? So I'm just thinking that that's
explaining
it.
Do you think that you need the selfish stage in order to progress, though?
I don't know whether you need it, but it's a natural. I think it's part of the human DNA. I think it's built into you to want. You have to achieve something to understand. I mean, there's all of us have goals, or everyone should have some type of goals that push them through life, and I think that's where, I guess, for me to answer the question of why I hunt, mine's easy. Mine is, I love the game of chess. I'm not very good at it. I mean, I love to play it, but I'm like, if I'm making 3-4 moves ahead, that's a lot for me, where these people that are really good at it, hunting is so similar to that's what I fell in love with from the time I was a little kid. And I think the fact that, for me, not having the ability, I didn't grow up in a family that we did a lot of hunting. Nothing like what we do now. We didn't go out west. We didn't go on trips to go hunting. We hunted white-tailed deer and turkeys right there by the house. And that's what I grew up on. And then not even getting to go, and rabbits and squirrels and doves. And it was like, for there my family was so different when we went hunting, meaning other times everyone was working or you were going to school and that's what you did, and there wasn't a lot of fun involved. And then all of a sudden we would all go on these hunting trips, and my uncles and my brother and my dad, and they were like different people to me. It was so cool, and I fell in love with it from a little tiny kid. I mean, when I was 8-9 years old, I can remember begging them, please turn around and go back and see that deer. Please turn the car around just so we can see that deer. And so then what happened was, once I got old enough that I could make some decisions for myself, I put myself in a place where I could be around that more, which hence made us ended up moving us to Montana. And then when I had you guys, holy cow, I mean, hunting became tenfold, because you guys, many people listening will have seen some of the shows and see you guys at 2 years old packing bows around, or you guys on our backs when Mom and I were packing bows around. And so, and then watching you guys evolve through that, the turkey hunts where we started, the fishing trips, I mean, like when you were talking about a minute ago that, you bring up something you remember from a hunting trip a long time ago. And then Easton's like, well, I remember it this way. I remember our camping trips. We weren't killing anything. You guys had BB guns and had your bows and stuff like that. And you guys were shooting dragonflies.
That was the biggest BS. I shot probably freaking 700 BBs and never hit a freaking dragonfly. And he would walk over, here, it's like this. Thunk, shoot one out of midair. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty freaking impressive. That still makes me mad, evidently. I didn't know that.
It was like a cannonball, too, because it would just take a chunk out of them.
Uh-huh.
But it was kind of easy because they float. They didn't.
It was not easy.
Well, you were little at that time.
Yeah, you were probably only 5.
No, I couldn't hit one.
Well,
point and shoot. Come on, man.
They pretty much would kind of float in the same spot, so they weren't as hard. But, oh, yeah, I remember all those were a blast.
Yeah, I mean, and those memories and those concepts, hunting turned, I mean, and I tell people this all the time, that everyone's going to use whatever they're involved with and whatever that they are comfortable with. That's going to be the analogy that you're going to raise your kids on. Meaning, if it's football, you're going to talk about, okay, you can't treat someone like that. Just think about this. Next time that you go in, the quarterback can't move the ball down the field if he doesn't have 10 other players around him. I mean, you're going to find something like that. And hunting gives you can go way deep, because you get to the point where, I mean, it can be as simple as how to treat a landowner or how to treat a piece of property, to as deep as you're taking an animal's life. And so I've always felt like that hunting could have such an impact on someone's life that it was worth doing for that reason. And I've felt like that before I even had you guys. I mean, it was already instilled in me to be, that it was that high, that it meant that it was that good. It was that part of my life, that was going to drive me. But you can go too far. I mean, there's people out there. I've met people that they don't have wives. They don't have girlfriends. They don't have jobs. And I would be one of those people there for a while. I mean, when I was young, before Mom and I got married, I would make it to the fall, and then basically I'd quit my work so that I could go hunting because I wanted to go that much. And then eventually I just decided, okay, you got to grow up and you got to be able to, you have to have some responsibility here. So you got to figure out a way to do both. So I became a firefighter where I could take all the time off that I wanted and be able to go do that. So
Well, I have other thoughts on all of it, but I think we should get to yours first.
I have two, like portions of why I hunt.
Okay.
Because I've gone through 2 stages in life already of like massive differences. Because you raised us
pre-puberty and puberty.
Well, I'm still in the pre-puberty stage.
Right.
I see some peach fuzz.
Hey, I just shaved.
I was gonna say he's clean shaven now. He took those 6 hairs.
Hey,
and put them in.
can
something.
I talk? This is unfair. I get bullied on here. Anyways, you obviously you raised us. We've never had a point in our lives where we're not outside or doing something or revolved around some form of hunting. And so the first half, it wouldn't even be split in half, but it's getting close. But the first half of my life of hunting was always, this is what my family does. This is what I go do with my family. Like, that's just the norm. That's like, I didn't really know any different. I was the same kid that didn't really care that much. We'd go on the weekends to like the airport or right by the airport to at the archery range. And I would take my freaking Star Wars spaceship, which I can't even tell you what spaceship it was because I never watched Star Wars. I just liked the spaceship. And I would run around while these guys shot because I didn't really care. I just was like, I'm just going to go with my family. Or you guys are like, come on, we're going. We're all going as a family. And so as I got older, that kind of, it resonated with me as to why I enjoyed it more as I got a little more mature, older. But I still never had like a, whatever that spark was, I guess. And I understood why you were hunting with us or why you wanted us to hunt. I understood why I was hunting. I understood why I was respecting an animal and everything that goes into it. But I wasn't always sure of why I physically and spiritually or whatever else wanted to genuinely go hunt. And so I talked about it one time on the podcast, but when I graduated high school and I moved out and I stopped, mainly because at that point in life you have I was the only one that was, I attempted to go to college. It only lasted a week, but you get in the mode of like, I've got other things in life. Like, this is the time where I'm going to go do my life. I'm going to go, if I have time to hunt, I have time to hunt. And that year was the first year that I was like, I'm just going to let myself take a break and just see if I do really enjoy something like this, or if I don't, or I want to move on, or if I'm just going to go sit in a stand and film Warren or film Dad kind of thing, just because I do enjoy that. And so when I went and I shot a doe for the first time, that was like the mark of my second half of my life. And that mark, for whatever reason, was like I had the freedom. Not that you didn't give us the freedom, that sounds bad, but like that I had the freedom to sit there completely alone and ask myself, why did I just take this animal's life, number one? Number two, why am I like crying and happy at the same time? And then 4, why am I like, I could really just start to understand myself. And from right then, it was the reason I'm hunting is because everything as far as who I am in my moral compass and how I operate in life has been based around hunting. I've had some form of example from hunting as to why I do something, as to why I live my life the way I do, or as to why I treat somebody how I treat them. And it's also been the reason why I can go talk to people very easily because you make us knock on doors. You think of something so stupid or so simple, and it's like, yeah, okay, let's pull down a road that you have no idea whose house this is. Go knock on the door and talk to them, and then you're going to ask them for something. And that's a very uncomfortable position to be in if you've never done it or anything. And so there's so many different things as hunting has gone on that you learn a life experience from this, from that, from helping somebody else. And then the big one for me that was in the past year or two that you asked him was, do you think you have to go through I think stage one would be like the quantity or the selfish stage. Like you wanna hunt, you wanna be the shooter all the time. And for me, I say 100% yes. You have to go through that stage, because for me, I went through a stage of I was kind of doing it with my family, and because I enjoyed doing it with my family, and I knew the benefits of why hunting was good, but I wasn't necessarily doing it out of like that obsession or that fire lit in me that wants to go accomplish something. And then I had that. And then from that point on, it was, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to, and each one of those goals you end up setting and you start doing, you start learning. And I have a lot of those that are failed very hard, but I'm okay with them. And I've gone through that selfish stage. I don't know when it flipped, but for whatever reason, I started setting all those goals and everything, and I started doing these things. And next thing you know, they're like put on the back burner, because I am, especially with turkeys is a big one, am like all about taking people. And I never thought I would be that type. Like I was like, I enjoy just having my time. I like spending it with people, but I'm not going to go until I get to the point where I've really accomplished some stuff. I'm probably not going to go take other people a ton. I always take people, but not like I have been. And for whatever reason, that switched. And from then on, it's like I got through the selfish stage, and now I absolutely love allowing other people to experience it or helping them experience it. And so for me, that there's tons of reasons that go into it. The other reason would be because I don't like humans very much. I really don't like being in cities. I don't like hearing noise. I don't like being in big crowds. I like to go out in the woods where it's something natural, whether I'm hunting or doing some work for hunting or whatever else. I get to go outside with my dog that can run free, and I can go shed hunt with Dad, and we'll probably have some of the, if we're walking near each other, have some of the best talks we'll ever have, or some of the most beneficial talks. Same thing with you, same thing with Mom. Those are the times where you just are in a non-threatened space. You feel comfortable with the other person you're with, and your mind is just at ease. It's just chilled. It's like, hey, whoever I'm here with, whether I'm alone or whether I'm with you or you, like this is all I need.
Yep. I think maybe you don't have to, but I think that it helps a lot for people that are listening that may be like thinking and be like, I'm probably in the selfish stage.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's okay. Like I'm not saying that I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because if I look back at myself, I think I would be naive to say that I could be sitting here saying the same thing if I hadn't been fortunate enough to kill some of the deer that I have. If we just take deer, for example, I probably would still want to kill a booner. That would still be something I'd really want to do. And I don't think that I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you shouldn't be doing that. I think that should be something that you're still should probably aspire to. You just need to make sure that it doesn't cloud your judgment. You don't do things illegally or something to do that. But I think it's okay to. Well, there's people that do that stuff, like that will go way past what you're the right way.
Right.
So I think that's okay to do that. But as I'm sitting here and I'm thinking and I'm listening to you guys both talk and thinking to myself, I'm trying to think of if you went tomorrow and you said that hunting doesn't exist, you can't go hunting, right? There is no such thing as hunting. Then what would you do that could try to be somewhat of a parallel to that? And so then what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to understand really what is the main reason that we're doing it, and is what I think it is it's one of the very few things and only things that you can get a purpose. You have a purpose outside of regular life, if that makes any sense, right? In business or your job or work, there's certain metrics. There's all kinds of outside influences, and none of those are Mother Nature, right? It's other people, it's money, it's there's tons and tons of influences that are, some are good, some are probably really bad. There's probably nothing as pure as hunting. Because then I'm like, okay, well, maybe I would do archery. I would just like go full ham on archery and then be in to try and shoot competitions and all that stuff. But that's still, I don't think, there's no way that would give me the same fulfillment as the outdoors. So then I'm like, okay, well, I'll try to do something outdoors, like hiking. Okay, well, I don't have to put near as much
That's mindless
thought
walking.
time. Well, I'm sure it's not mindless if you're doing serious hikes.
Oh yeah, if you do some.
But at the same
gnarly
time,
stuff.
it'd be super cool to go to some of these places and see it. But also, I'm like, well, I can freaking go do that same thing, but also be hunting,
Mhm.
And so then I'm trying to think of something outdoors that would be anywhere relevantly close, and I can't. And so then, as what I think of is that I feel as though part of the biggest reason is that there's so many of us that are so passionate about it is because it gives you some kind of purpose and some kind of thing to pursue that is controlled by something pure. If that makes any sense.
Something that you have no control over.
And no humans have control
right.
over.
And that's what makes it so unique.
Yes. That there's no business thing, there's no money. I mean, sure, we can all say money has some influence, but there's, at the end of the day, you're always going to be able to go outside and get into that where the money is not the point of it, right? And you go out west and you go into the national forest. Money isn't changing anything there. It's not somebody's not have a whole bunch of money to make out of it or anything else out of your personal experience. There's nothing else that is controlled by something that people don't have more of a massive influence on it.
No, I think that the animal concept is the part that drives. I mean, I can't say for everyone, but there's the fact that there is no human other. That's what's so difficult sometimes when it comes to hunting public ground, is because then the human element is there. You're now having not to just work with the animal and try to see if you can take this animal, but you're having to deal with everyone else. And so that's where I have no issue with people, aspiring to have their own piece of ground or to hunt private ground where it's just them and the animal, or to hunt public ground that's so large that you get back to that.
Right.
Like going to Alaska and things like that, where it's you and a moose, and that's been a dream one for me that I still haven't done. I think that you guys are hitting the nail on the head. I hope that people listening are able to relate in some way. When you talk about, do you think that you need to go through that selfish stage? I think that for sure too, that selfish stage can last longer if you haven't been successful. If you're still trying, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, nothing wrong with setting a goal and wanting to accomplish that goal, and yet you only hunt public ground in the East Coast where there's a lot more other things going on. It may take you a lot longer to attain that. I can tell you but at the same time, I'll use myself for an example. You can choose how you want to go about that. And mine was that I can't keep doing with what I want to achieve, and I want to be able to hunt a bigger, better quality deer. I could tell you that I wasn't going to be able to do that to the extent that I wanted to there.
Right.
So I made life changes so that I could be in some other place where it would be something that I could go do. If you're a surfer, you can't live in Kansas. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
You got to live somewhere near the beach where you can, and if you're on the Gulf Coast, it's not any better. It's probably worse. Now you're next to the ocean, but there's no waves, so you got to live somewhere where the waves are.
Yeah.
And so, I just think that hunting there's so many things. This could be a 10-part topic in my opinion, because there's so much that hunting has to offer in so many different, realms. And fortunately, I've been super blessed. The good Lord, I was born in Virginia. And so there was a concept and a way of hunting that took place there that I learned from an early age, where it wasn't a lot of agriculture. It wasn't a lot of private land. I was hunting public land, and I learned the basics there. Then I moved to Arkansas, where it's all agriculture, but it's different. It's cotton fields, it's soybean fields, and swamps, and things like that. Then we moved to Montana, and now it's no longer even white-tailed deer. We're talking elk and moose and goats and sheep and antelope. And then we moved from there back to the Midwest. And so, my gosh, to say that I've lived a life of blessed is the only word that I can come up with, possibly, because I've gotten to achieve, and I still have several goals I have not achieved. But at the same time, if I was to die today, I would have to say that I died a thankful man. Be thankful for what I have seen, because I do have just the fact that I've gotten to live and be with you guys hunting, regardless of what I've killed myself, and with Mom and having her there and seeing her, and it's those moments of firsts, first turkey, first antelope, first elk. It came full circle this year with Easton, and it will come full circle when you guys have your own kids. There was a table in West Virginia this week, and they had 3 generations sitting there at that table. They had the grandfather, the father, and the sons. And it was pretty cool. And a couple brothers. So there was like a whole table of this family, and just sitting there watching them. But looking back, the only time that we ever got to do that, and was where there was 3 generations that were doing what we loved, was when we went duck hunting with Pop. And it was about the worst duck hunting situation possible, but it's probably one of the best memories I'll ever have, and from being on both sides of it. I had Pop, who was my dad, and he's older than me, and then I have you guys there, and yes, we shot a duck or two, but watching him pick up stuff and eat his honey bun off the ground, and his comments and things like that, those little tiny things, I don't know why hunting makes you so much more aware, but it seems to do that. It seems to make you really, you feel being there. You feel it, and you're not just there doing something and then it's over.
Well, I think that's because there's nowhere near as many distractions.
Maybe.
And I think
live in the moment.
And the focus of what you're doing is from something pure.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole experience then is much more in tune.
Right.
Which I think that's where I think you do need to be careful on the selfish side, is that doesn't blind you to not enjoy all of those things, which I think this is a fantastic conversation, because it is. The more that we sit here and talk about it, it's like, man, we really don't zoom out that often and ask ourselves these questions, because then the other thing this brings you back to is a few years ago when I was going to go to Wyoming on that elk hunt. I can't remember who it was, but someone told me, you probably shouldn't be going on that. You should be trying to save up time, make more money, and be focusing on all your other stuff. You shouldn't go do that. And I told him absolutely not, because and then I missed one September where I thought I'd be okay, and it was the September after I killed my elk, and I was absolutely miserable. And so I'm not telling you that you should spend all of your money on hunting, but is what I realized was that for me, there was an emptiness inside of me that nothing else could fill, and that literally I had no drive to go make money or to go do anything or to go try to do something if I didn't know that I could go and have those experiences and be a part of that. There's something that the mountains can give me, or the West in general, and hunting. I'm sure if it was just deer, I would feel the same way if I missed a deer season. But that was like, it's worth it to me to take a step back on everything else, that this 1 month that I get to do something that I really love gives me the energy and the clarity that I can go way harder in the next 11 months, where if I took that away from myself, I'm not going to be near as productive. And so it's worth it to me to possibly set things back. And people tell me that I'm taking some things and putting them in the wrong priority. Well, in my opinion, after I realized that, I was like, I need that. The energy that gives me, and the purpose that gives me, and
something to live for,
that it's freaking worth it. I'm okay with taking some time back from and having to make up for it to go do that because it's something that gives me life.
You only get so much too.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why you'd wait, or why you would. I mean, unless you're in the situation where you flat out like can't go do something. I get that, but I don't know.
But make the most
I don't
of
know
what you
who-
can.
Yeah, I don't know who is telling you that or why, but that's dumb to me. If that unit was like 14 or 15 points typically to draw.
The one where I went,
9, wasn't it?
yeah, 7. Or
So
8.
it's a lot either way.
Yep.
And you simply found a way to get in on a group.
Well, I just had
and the
two
fact
guys
that you
that-
had a way to go do it, and not only did you do it, that you got a tag by finding other like-minded dudes that wanted to go, and they had a spot for you. You got in on their draw. They drew. You helped them kill a bull. Both of them. Then you went and shot a bull. I don't know why. That would be dumb to me if you had the opportunity of a couple guys that are like, hey, if you want to put in with us, there's a good chance you'll draw or something on a unit that is that prestige, that great, and it's going to take you that long. You'd honestly probably be dumber and wasting more money if you sat there and I'll just put in on my own for the next 10 years and hope I draw. And then in 10 years when it's 12 points to draw, I'll wait another 2. And that just, you might as well live life.
Yeah.
And go do the things that you enjoy and you love, and as long as you're doing them for the right reasons.
Well, and I think going back to that, I mean, those two guys got an experience that they would have never gotten before. You were able to give them the information that they needed to know where to spend their points. They had their points, but they didn't know what that meant.
Yep.
You know, they knew they wanted to go somewhere, and they didn't know where would be. Everyone's afraid to pull the trigger and say, I'm going here, and this is going to be the experience I'm hoping to get out of it. Those guys had a once-in-a-lifetime kind of, I mean.
The memories of that was epic.
Absolutely, right.
It'd be very easy to
Nothing.
feel like you wasted all your points, too.
Absolutely.
Like, they had to put a lot of trust in somebody who's saying, hey, this is the spot to be.
Right.
To take 8-10 years out of your life that you've been waiting to finally say, okay, I'm going to trust you. Let's go.
Yeah, they could, because they could have drawn a unit that took more points.
Yeah.
So by me being in their party, I was reducing their amount of total points.
Yeah.
But I was telling them, like, look, guys, I'm telling you, this place is good enough that it will rival anything and what you want, because they didn't want a 360 bull.
Right.
They wanted lots of elk and
Pretty sure they could have found a
experience.
360 there, too, though.
possibly, yeah. And
There's some big bulls there.
I was like, well, then I have the place, man. I'm telling you, like, the numbers and quality bulls still, I mean, this is going to be off the charts, which that's what's so crazy about it is Easton hit that bugle at the beginning. I'm like, man, why does that make me get so excited? And it's because, like, I can immediately feel the mountain air and smell the pine and feel the grass, and I can, it's the memories of that, and then the desire to be back there doing that. Now, I'm not saying go take loans and stuff and put yourself in digging holes that you can't get out of.
Yeah, if you have to
that is
make
genuinely
a
not
truck payment or go on a hunt, I would say make the truck payment first.
Yeah.
You know,
because I don't want to be somebody
That's
getting a message
intelligent.
and say, I took a HELOC because they told me, that it's all right. I need to live it up. That's not what I'm saying. I maxed the credit card. Yeah, don't do that.
No, you got to be in the position to do it. But if you are in the position to do it, send it.
but you got to. Well, that comes down to you got to put yourself in that position. And you got to find something that drives you that will help you get in that position.
Yep.
And I mean, and I'm living proof that you, as a blue collar worker, you can do it. I mean, that's what the firefighting business is, not a lucrative business by any means, but it provided time off and things like that. And so I traded with people. I traded hunts with people when I wanted to go. Before we moved to Iowa, I would come and hunt Iowa and trade. I'd take someone elk hunting or antelope hunting, and they'd get to come out west. And so, I was just that creative because I knew that I wanted to do it. So I was going to take whatever I could and make that happen.
When you're that passionate about something, you love something that much, you're willing to do other things you may not want to do.
Absolutely.
Get a side job, work extra hours, put in overtime, whatever it may be.
Yep, that works. But don't let life go by. I'm old enough now. I mean, now where I'm at in my life that I can tell you, you do not want to mess around and think, well, I'll do it all when I'm retired. I'll get to that point where I retire. And I just met a couple guys in West Virginia too that one guy was 72 years old and he killed 9 deer last year, but that's the first year that he's been retired. And he was like, yeah, I didn't know what to do with all my time. I was like, I got time to go hunting. And so I was shooting does and everything. And I was so proud for that guy, so happy for him, because you could see him just like light up that he'd been waiting all this time. Unfortunately, he's only got X amount of years, to do it. But I get it. I understand he was in that position where he was like, I got to keep working. And so that I can do this. But, I would tell someone, try to figure out a way to be able to do it throughout life and mix it in so that you have a purpose and yet you have a way to feed that purpose. It kind of what you're talking about is it drives you. You go do something for a month, you got 11 months of work to get ready for it the next time.
Yep.
And that could be weeks, or you can divide that in however you want. But it's where hunting is truly, it can be something that can be life altering. I do believe that way.
It is. I think it is for almost all passionate hunters. Yeah.
I would agree. Anything else?
Like you said, I think you could go on for days, but I think that's it.
We should save some because this is the topic we should bring Mom in on. Everybody's been asking for Mom.
Yep.
And this would be a good one to talk about too.
Yeah, it would be.
We can get her in here on that. All right. So you got some
wacky facts.
I
have a whole bunch of them
Easton's
today.
turning on his light or his sound
buttons. My
sound
approve or
objectives.
disapprove.
Right.
Okay.
Well, who sent in the one that someone sent one in that goes along with what he had last time?
The human turd?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
that's
huge.
I have that. Okay. So that'll be the second one. Here's a different one though. Starfish do not have a brain. So I think now this is kind of funny for anybody that's in our generation that's listening to this. If you think of SpongeBob,
that's why Patrick's
it makes way more sense now that why Patrick was so stupid is because he didn't have a brain, literally. So I think that's pretty funny. Don't act like you sit here and you knew that starfish don't have a brain.
Did you know that they can regrow their arms?
No.
Okay, so yeah, I did know.
No, you said you knew that they can regrow their arms. You know that they...
You didn't know that either. I did know that they don't have a brain.
Did you know only female mosquitoes bite?
Yes, I did know that too.
That is kind of funny.
I knew that. And the ones that go ee are not the ones that bite you. The ones that are making...
That was interesting.
The ones that are making the noise are not the ones that bite.
What noise are they
making? How do you figure that? I've had them bite me, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think so.
BS. That one was quiet.
I think I can. Fleas can jump 350 times their body length.
Uh-huh. I'm doing this, but I didn't know this. Because I was just telling Eli this the other day, that those things can like freaking jump as high as us. That's like a human.
Insane.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine if we could jump 350 times our body? It would literally be like the Hulk.
Right.
You know when he's like running through the desert?
That's like ants.
Yeah, ants can lift like 15 times their body weight or something like that. Crazy. Maybe it's more than that.
Animals get all the cool stuff.
You know they have like...
we got a brain.
They have like little flea fairs and stuff.
No.
Like they'll do like where they'll literally have like little activities for fleas to do. Yes, there's videos of it. You can find
this is what happens when you don't get introduced to hunting.
I learned that. You want to know where I learned that? In school. We were learning about fleas, and we watched videos on these little activities they'd have fleas do. They'd teach them to do them. Mm-hmm.
That's funny. Okay, so now we've had several people send me this picture of a human turd that is huge. It is huge.
You've had multiple people send you that picture?
Yes. You weren't the only one.
I didn't send it to you.
Oh, you didn't?
I sent it to you from a guy that messaged it in, and he did not send any context. He just sent the biggest human turd ever. And I was dying laughing because of the fact that I knew what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And he didn't say anything with it. Had me rolling.
What did you send me that on?
I screenshotted it and messaged it to you. Texted it to you.
Okay. Let me...
As gross as it is pretty humorous.
It's impressive. How does that come out?
So
they got to be dead after that.
It's the same thing here. So this is
Their whole intestines came out with that one.
So a couple people sent me that one, and so the longest human turd was 8 inches long and 2 inches wide.
That ain't true.
That's what it says right there. I just double checked it.
That thing is way bigger than 8 inches.
That's what it says on it, dude.
That thing is like this. I could beat that.
It says right here, 8 inches long, 2 inches wide.
They made it look huge.
It's been valued at $39,000.
Why? Imagine being the guy that pays
It's in a museum.
$39,000 for a turd. Literally.
Fossilized
That looks way
turd.
bigger than 8 inches.
So here's the interesting thing about it, though, okay? So is what I did, and so then the largest dinosaur turd, right, was 17 inches long and 7 inches wide.
You
Okay?
did math on this?
Not quite math, but I looked up some statistics. So the largest human that there's ever lived that we know of was 8 feet 11 inches tall and 439 pounds. Okay, so now we can't necessarily say that the largest turd equates to the largest human, but I'm just going to use this as a reference here. The largest T-Rex that they've ever found on record, his name was Scotty, was 42 feet long.
Why'd they name it?
And weighed roughly 19,555 pounds. Okay, so I have decided 100% this was a baby dinosaur turd. There is no way, no flipping way that's a Scotty turd. Because
the Scotty turd.
well, let's just think about this here.
Why did they
okay?
name a fossilized T-Rex?
They name them all because Scotty was probably the dude that found it. So he
Really?
puts
They
his
name 'em?
Oh yeah, they get to put their name on it.
Oh, that would make sense. Like, why would you? It's not like it's getting mixed up with another one.
Okay.
You name it. It's dead. It ain't going anywhere.
So, I guess I could have done this like this. That should not have been that hard. Okay, so the weight, if we take the weight difference between a human, the largest human, and the T-Rex, the T-Rex was 44 times more heavy than large, heavy human.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but yet the turd you're telling me is only double?
Yeah, it doesn't add up. That don't
Get
math.
out of here.
That don't math, son.
No
Yeah.
way. Unless it's like maybe they take like deer. Maybe
And there's
that's
like
what
20
it is.
of them.
Yeah,
what I said.
that would make way more.
Right. So
Dad
just-
said that it was like deer.
I
Maybe.
don't know.
No, that's
I'm
what you suggested.
Right. I'm like,
Well,
if,
carnivores aren't supposed to be that
Nah.
way, but
I don't believe it. I believe that there's a big old turd coming out all at once.
that they found a baby dinosaur turd.
Agreed. Maybe
100%.
even like
I got a feeling the Smithsonian's going to be calling us and asking for
I hope
our
they
data.
do.
I'm gonna
'cause
call
that's the
them.
that's the other thing. Like you're gonna tell me that a freaking long neck doesn't have a bigger turd than a T-Rex?
Well, they only eat grass, so I don't know.
Yeah, that might come out
You'd
like
think
a
that
big
would
old
stop
cow
you up,
patty.
though. I mean,
What
let's
would
see
stop you up? That's all nutrition.
how big is a long neck?
I don't know.
Way bigger. You got long neck, that's for sure.
As tall as 75 feet, 23 meters long, 20 tons.
Why did they measure in feet and meters?
I don't know.
Why would you do that?
That makes no sense.
Huh? Yeah, but they should give you both on both. 73 or 75 feet tall,
Don't mix the two.
whatever meters tall, and then same thing for.
Yeah, measuring 80 feet long
That's
and
Are you
weighing
done?
28
Yeah,
tons.
I agree. You had some good ones today. You did better. But are
for
you
my
done?
numbers
Next
guy.
time I'm going to have your numbers guy figure out the ratio of the turd size to the animal size.
He will.
And then
You hear
we'll
that?
share that.
This podcast has gone in the shitter,
That was good.
literally. All right, guys. So we're gonna roll out of here. Today was a good topic. I really think that it was fun talking about it, and I think you guys, hopefully, we want to hear from you and what your thoughts are. Why do you hunt? You know, why do you do what you do? Why do you go chase them? How do you make it happen? Who got you started? All kinds of stuff like that. Because the fortunate thing for us is we could go into, we've built videos. That's what that's what Raised Hunting was all about, is a lot of what we talked about today is there. So thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it. Thank you for the wacky facts, Warren. We had good ones today, so I won't give him grief on that. And we will see you next week.
Woo woo.